All right, now the other side of the coin, the other side of the market. All right, so we did the consumer surplus, now the producer surplus, the manufacturers, the creators, the artists, whatever it is that they're producing. These are the producers. All right, so the producer surplus is, so again, I label it capital P, capital S, instead of writing out producer surplus number. So again, make sure you're aware of that producer surplus is the extra that the producer received, they actually got. They would have been willing to settle for a lower price and fewer units sold, but they didn't have to. This is the extra because they were able to go with the higher price at equilibrium. So again, so this would be the extra that they felt like they got at the equilibrium point. All right, so graphically it has to do with the supply, right? The supplier. All right, so the supply function would be where supply function in terms of price. So it's the supply at the price. X value is the quantity. All right, so again, graphically, we'll use the same one we did before. So remember, the supply for the office desk was x squared plus 15x, where P is the price for the office desk, S was the number of the price at dollars per unit. All right, so again, I'm just going to do a simple graph to kind of show you what it is. And for our examples, we'll keep competitive markets. We'll keep them in equilibriums. All right, so X is equal to the office desk. Office desks. This is the price in dollars. This one starts out at 0. 0 items will be produced if the price is set at 0. And then it was a parabola, so it has a slight curve to it. So there's my supply, which was x squared plus 15x. Then I'm going to mark off the equilibrium point, which again was somewhere around here. It was 2,700. All right, so they'll sell 20 desks when the price is set at 700. That's the equilibrium price. All right, so there's the supply equation. There's the equilibrium point on my supply equation. All right, so remember, this dotted line that I drew is the same rectangle in the previous problem. That's my revenue, right? This box equals the revenue, and the revenue generated from sale. Right? Revenue is the equilibrium quantity times the equilibrium price, right? Price times quantity. So in this case, it was 20 times 700, which equaled 14,000, right? And so that's what the producers get. They're going to sell 20 desks at a price of 700. When they do that, sales will generate exactly $14,000 in sales, right? That's the revenue generated. And so that's that rectangular area. All right. And so the amount they would have been willing to settle for was the area under the curve. And so the area above the curve this time is the surplus, because they actually got the extra money that they would have been willing to settle for selling fewer desks at a lower price. They didn't have to. They were willing to set it at 700. And so this yellow area is the producer surplus. That's the extra amount they got by having it set to the equilibrium point. The area under the curve would have been what they would have been willing to settle for. And the difference is the consumer surplus. I keep saying it's consumer. Producer surplus. And so that yellow area is what we want to find. And so this time, the revenue is what the producer gets, right? So that's the bigger area. The box is the bigger. That's the amount of money that the producers get from sales. And so the producer surplus, that yellow area, is found. Well, first, it's the revenue, right? The big area is the revenue, all right? That's the box area. And so you find your revenue generated first. You take your equilibrium quantity times your equilibrium price. That's the revenue. That's the box, the big area. And then you subtract the area below the curve, which I'm going to highlight in blue here. The blue would have been the amount that they would have settled for if they would have produced fewer desks at a lower price. This would have been the amount they would have had to settle for. All right, this would be all the demands at the lower price. And so you subtract that area. Well, that area is the area under the supply curve from 0 to the equilibrium point. And so I subtract the integration from 0 to the equilibrium point of my supply curve. Right, that's the amount they would have settled for, which would have been a smaller amount than they actually got at equilibrium. Alright, so then for our particular example, remember equilibrium quantity was 2, price was 700. We would integrate from 0 to 20, right? X is 20. My supply function was x squared plus 15x dx. And again, I'm just going to give it to you. We'll solve them on the calculator in the next example. All right, this was 14,000. This is going to be an ugly number because you're going to get a third. So it comes out 5666.67. And so the difference would be 8,333. And I usually round to the penny because we're talking dollars. And so the producer's surplus, the extra amount of money that they got at this is the extra. They actually got 14,000. They would have been willing to settle for $5,666.67. So they got an extra at the equilibrium point. The surplus, the extra, would have been that 8,000. All right, that's the extra. And now we're just going to practice it in the next